Kia ora, my name's John Harrison. I'm a Forklift Operations Manager for Rotorua Forest Haulage, and I'm here to help you with your forklift health and safety. Topics we're going to cover are going to be safe driver, safe vehicle, and safe site. Forklift operators, their heads are on a swivel. They're always looking around. They're looking at load security. They're looking at clearances of their load as they're transiting areas. They may also be looking for specific locations to uplift or drop off goods. And they're also looking at the road surface to make sure there are no bumps or any obstacles that could cause their load to become unsecure. Because the forklift operator's head or his attention is always moving about, there are quite a few blind spots on the forklift that can pose a threat. So if we look at this photo here, is there anything that you can see that would make you think that there's anything to be concerned about? No, it looks pretty good. It's a nice clear area and a nice flat concrete pad. When we move to the next slide, we can see that there's a person's hands extending from the right-hand side of the mast. It's easy to conceal something from a mast that's far away and doesn't pose a threat or a risk in the short term, but as you can see from this machine has 2.5 metre long tines on it, and the person is standing at the tips of those tines. So they're very close, and obviously if that forklift was still in motion, that's a very imminent risk that's available to them. Looking at this next slide, you can see again, nothing seems overly out of the ordinary. The following slide, you can see here now that there's an 8-ton Toyota forklift that had been concealed by the uprights. Granted, that one is further away, but it definitely just illustrates how much can be hidden by the mast. This is quite a clean mast, so as you can see the lift chains are outermost, so they're not into the center, and all of the hydraulic lines are also moved to the side, so it gives a nice clear picture for that operator. Now this next one is probably a much higher risk situation, so again, not a lot to see, but we're concealing an 8-ton forklift that's moving towards this operator. So now we have the combined speeds of both of those forklifts, and obviously a much shorter reaction time, particularly if you're holding a load. This next slide here illustrates the differences that different machines have as far as visibility is concerned from the rear window. So all of these photos have been taken from the cab looking out the back window. The photo on the left there, you can see we have an 8-ton forklift, so a much shorter counterweight, and it has very good visibility out that back end. The photo in the middle is a 16-ton machine with a 1200 load center. So with it having a 1200 load center, it's a much longer wheelbase and a larger chassis. So to be able to get that level of visibility over that long counterweight and bonnet is actually pretty good. Now you can see this machine here on the right. This is an older machine, and you can see that we have the exhaust and the air filter mounted on top of the bonnet, and you can see that this clearly obstructs the view for the operator. Now that's not to say that this is a bad machine, but it is definitely something that you want to take into consideration when sourcing your plant. So if you're going to be operating in an area where there are absolutely no pedestrians and you need a good reliable workhorse, then this kind of machine would be a real candidate. But if you are working in an area where there's multiple pedestrians and high traffic flow, then you're going to want to make that rear vision a higher priority when selecting plant. So first up, I want to talk about a safe driver. What is a safe driver? To me, a safe driver who's somebody who can competently operate their machine. They are aware of their surroundings, and this has become from a robust training system within their setting. I want to talk to you a bit about forklift driver and forklift operator. So I consider myself a forklift driver. I can jump in a forklift, I can lift things, I can move things, I can stack things, but I take a bit of time to do it. A forklift operator, however, is, say, like a member of my team. They are in a production-driven environment. They have time pressures. They're working 10 to 12-hour shifts, and they work in a dynamic environment. So lots of mobile plant, lots of time pressure, and lots of pedestrian movement about them. It's kind of like looking at athletes, somebody who goes jogging and then let's say the All Blacks. So somebody who is at that higher end requires more support. So how I've done this within my teams is we have area specific SOPs. So we have generic SOPs or general SOPs for the site, but then we have specific SOPs depending on their site. So for example, at the sawmill, there will be area specific SOPs for the kilns, then for the sawmill, for the treatment plants, for the dispatch yard, and for the different planers. Just because each of those environments are different and they pose a different set of challenges and risks. We have an area specific induction process that sets specific training targets. From that we get varying levels of supervision for new employees or employees that have moved from one section to another section within the mill. We have annual in-cab assessments relevant to the operator's role, and that includes testing on SOP knowledge. One thing that we found is different areas can evolve. The equipment that they're servicing, or say the in-feed or the out-feed for the sawmill industry has changed. By retesting them on their SOP knowledge every year, we know that we're capturing those changes to procedures as they go through. Additional modules pertinent to their role are also added to the OSH refresher courses. Why is this important? Since 2013 there have been 11 fatalities. There have been 127 serious injuries and 577 injuries with ACC claims per year from 2013 onwards. Key risk factors pertinent to this has been site traffic management, so keeping people separate from mobile plant, safe load management, falls and non-use of seatbelts. So remember, a safe driver is one who is competent, adequately trained and aware of their environment.